Actors are a different beast. They behave differently than everyone else on set. It's like they're like the popular kids in high school.
So the first one was being able to think on your feet, you said, and then the second skill a good director should have is just being very proficient with editing.
Yes, really understanding editing. I think the third skill, and this I would say is number one, and it's knowing how to work with actors. And I am continually shocked at how that is a skill that most directors don't seem to know. I don't understand why that one is the one that's shoved aside. Just today, a friend of mine who's a DP said that she said they're working with an actor, the lead of this movie, and the lead is not good. And I said, well, hopefully your director can direct the actor and bring up a good performance. And he said, or she said, no, the director's giving no notes whatsoever. Like he's working with the camera department. And the actor's left on their own. The amount of time is unbelievable. The amount of times I hear actors complain about this. I went out there, I'm doing my thing, I'm getting no notes, I have no idea what I'm doing. You know, if you understand what it's like to be an actor, it's like painting blindfolded. You're out there performing, but you can't see it. And if your director is hiding in Video Village back there, not telling you, it's a very frustrating place to be as an actor. And it just astounds me that more directors don't spend more time learning the skill. And it seems to be this terror when it comes to it. This idea that working with an actor is scary. I'm not sure where that idea comes from. I worked with an actor, rather a director friend of mine a couple years ago. Was helping her out on set, and she said, I heard her say this, it was someone else. She goes, well, this actor's worked with Martin Scorsese. What do I have to say? I'm like, what do you mean, what do you have to? You're the director. They want to hear what you have to say. They don't care that you are not Martin Scorsese. They just need to know what you want. So the most common excuse I hear from directors when it comes to this kind of subject is they always say that, oh, well, just cast the right person and that will solve your problems. Well, first of all, I think that's a terrible philosophy to have, because what that is saying is, well, I'm just going to make sure that I'm going to hire the right person so that they can do the hard work. That's taking all of the pressure off of you and throwing it on someone else so that you can just get out of actually preparing and learning how to do it. Second of all, it's completely unrealistic. Do you know how many projects there are? When you're working on something, you are always going to have the one person that you didn't cast. I was working on a commercial one time, and I picked this actor. I thought this actor was really good, and they had this great presence to them. The client said, no, we want this other guy. And I was like, I don't think this guy has any experience. I think he's kind of new. And in his audition, he didn't even read the lines. They cast him because of his look. So he gets to set. So I have no choice. This is the guy I have to work with. He shows up, and sure enough, it was his first time on set. All right, so now the philosophy of just cast the right people, suddenly that's gone. And now what are you going to do? Well, what are you going to do? So, I mean, the amount of films that are made where the investor says, hey, I'll give you the money for your movie, but I'm going to put my daughter in the lead. Has your daughter ever acted? Well, no, but you got a movie and you just have to make my daughter look good. Okay, so then how do you do it? How do you work with the actor? Oh no, the actor, they're so scary. Actors are a different beast. They behave differently than everyone else on set. It's like they're like the popular kids in high school. they're, you know what I mean? And you're the nerd, the dork sitting there at the lunch table, and, you know, whoever walks in and they're charming and everyone likes them and they're so pretty and everyone just wants to be them or be with them. The actors are like that. That's why we always point the cameras at them, you know, because they have that charm and they have that look. So it can feel like you're the dork in high school who's got to go up and now, you want me to talk to this person and tell them what to do? And they're going to listen? Why would they listen to me? Who am I? So that's the feeling oftentimes that you can get. Well, the reality is they're a person. And oftentimes I find that, especially when they can be difficult to work with, it's because they're terrified. They're just a person. They happen to be blessed with this beautiful outer shell a lot of the time, but that doesn't mean they don't have insecurities as well. And the more they're left on their own without any direction, the more insecure they can feel. I mean, think about what that must be like. If you go out there and you do your scene and no one says anything to you, and you have just bared your soul in some scene and no one's going, good job or whatever, like that might even frustrate you, make you angry. Well, with good reason, right? I mean, it's like working for any boss, and the boss is never telling you if you're doing good work, never encouraging you, I mean, it would be a very frustrating place to be. So understanding that they are just a human, and it's so funny because oftentimes actor will come up on set, I'll walk up to them and I can see them trembling. Like, if I'm, you know, and it's weird because I'll be at my director's chair and talking to the DP and we're doing this over here and da-da-da, and I'll look and there's the actor and they come in and, oh, they're pretty, and I'll walk up and I see them kind of shaking. It's like, wow, I never saw that until I actually walked up and made that connection. So the lesson there is, I think, really making sure that they're recognized and that they are welcomed and feel safe. That is so important to do, because what we're asking of an actor, think about this, in the grand scheme of a set, if you're a cinematographer, they are operating a piece of machinery. They're bringing their artistry to it, no question. They're creating emotion with this camera, painting with light, but they're not being vulnerable. They may be, even if they are scared, you're never going to see it because they're behind the lens, you know? Same with a gaffer, same with a sound guy and a wardrobe person. I mean, if they're having a bad day, they could go and cry in their trailer, you know, behind closed doors. You're never going to see that. An actor, they're naked in front of and everything that you've been building for years with the script, and everything is pointing at them. The camera is pointing right. That's a lot of stress on a person. So when you see them walk in, you're in high school, popular kid walks in, it can be the hardest thing to do to walk up and just say, hey, how you doing? Everything okay? Just to check in and make sure they're all right. That is a huge move, and that will be think about it, making them feel welcome and comfortable. Even though it looks like they may not need that, do it anyway. That is a huge thing that will help you. Actors as well, simply, and it sounds so simple to say, but they just want to know what you want. If you don't know what you want, tell them. Because this is where you can invite them into your own space in storytelling. You can say, this is a goodbye scene, but I'm not sure it needs to be a weepy one, you know? And have a dialogue with them about it, because that's where the fun can begin, where you're actually going, you're saying goodbye to someone who you've been best friends with for years, but they've always been mean to you. Would you really be crying as you say goodbye? Like, and you can start to play, well, what if it's triumphant goodbye? What if and that's where it can be really fun. Now you're going to start to see the actor come alive because they are being allowed to play with you, and you know you're on the same team. That can really be a lot of fun. I also think that as a director, what we do, because we've been thinking about this story for longer than everybody else on the team. Like, they're longer than the DP, the wardrobe person. We've been working with this story forever. And so it's very easy to, and necessary in a lot of ways, to come in with your own ideas about how the scene should look. And yes, that's important, but you want to leave a little room for surprise. You want to leave a little room for them to bring what they have to the table. And you would do that. You do that in every other department, right? You're going to tell the DP, I just want this to look like, like the old films from the 70s, how they kind of had this rich color grain. I'm kind of looking for that kind of rich color grain in this kind of thing. And I'm thinking it's all shot on long lenses. And the DP may go, yeah, but in that time, those kind of lenses didn't exist. They did a lot of zooms instead of dollies. So what if we did it more zoomy lenses? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. How cool is that? That's you creating together. That's you allowing the DP to kind of bring his artistry or her artistry to the table. Do the same with an actor. I find it really enjoyable process when they come to set, they've been working their lines by themselves or with their husband or wife, or sometimes even just a recorder. They record it. They have a certain way they want to do the lines. Well, let them try it. I think it can really create the fun sandbox when you bring the 2 or 3 actors and have everyone pause the work, let the DP sit over here for a second and say, all right, let's just walk through it a second and see what you got. Let me see what you got. Let's try it. Boom, walk through the scene. Now they feel like they've brought something to the table. You're able to okay, that's cool. Let's use this piece. But I think what we want to do is turn in this moment here and then, oh, yeah. Now you're working together. That really allows them a feeling like they've been heard. And that will you can watch their anxiety just go down. Another big thing to remember with actors is that when you're directing, this is super easy to do because you're being hit with 1,000 questions a minute. So, it is, you just did a take, the DP's like, I don't know, are you sure it's okay with this lens like this? I think maybe we go to a tighter lens. Oh yeah, okay, good. Let's swap to the 100 and do the blah, blah, blah. Wardrobe person's like, I don't know, that shirt looks kind of wrinkly. And oh yeah, cool. Is that background prop looking okay? And everyone's asking, and the actor is standing there on their mark. Is that all right? And you're, all right, let's do it again. You totally forget that they're out there naked, wondering why we're doing it again, and it has nothing to do with them. So remembering, all right, we need to do one more. We got to make a change on our end. You're doing just fine. Just keep doing that exactly thing. You're right in the right zone, but we got to change something with the camera. We've hit a bobble on the cable, whatever it is. Remembering that it's like you're spinning plates on the end of sticks, and the actor's always on the end out here. And you'd think that they'd be the easiest one to remember, but that's the first one usually most people forget, is that they're just standing out there on their mark, waiting for someone to talk to them. So just remembering to keep them engaged. I haven't forgotten about you. You're still there. It's all good. Let us fix something over here or whatever. I think that happened a number of times on The Abandoned, by the way, where it was The Abandoned is essentially one actor in front of the camera the whole time. And a lot of these same rules applied, right? So the premise of The Abandoned is a soldier who's hit with a bright light when he's in the middle of a firefight, and he wakes up in this room with no doors, windows, exits of any kind. He can't get a hold of anybody. And the whole movie is him trying to escape this mystery room. Well, that means he's the only guy in front of the camera the whole time. That's an incredible, vulnerable place to be. The actor, that is, it was his first lead in a movie, and that's terrifying. I wouldn't want that position. If I were a lead in a film, that's scary enough. But the fact that you're the only face we're gonna see in this whole movie, oh my gosh. It was so important to take the time to make sure he was okay. Just to greet him every day on set, check in, see how he was feeling, making sure he's comfortable. Go through it, let him try a couple takes to see what he, all of these same kinds of things. And then with him specifically, there were a couple times where we would have some bumps in the road. And this leads me to a huge point. I made a couple mistakes. There was a day where we were doing some stunt sequences. And ironically, the moment I'm talking about is in the trailer. There's a moment where the character realizes that something is very wrong. Oh no, the big discovery is being made. And he goes, oh my God. We were trying to do this very specific shot where the camera is going to do this big dolly push and it's tilting as it goes. And he's leaning on the wall a certain kind of way. And the way the film is put together, we had this camera that could do this. It's called a lambda head. So we could tilt it, and the film plays with gravity a lot. So we would always tilt the lambda head oftentimes to make it look like gravity was coming from the wrong direction. But when you look at the lens and then you look at the stage, it looks ridiculous because he's oftentimes standing at a tilt, and it's like, I would start chuckling because it's like, I feel like I'm making Star Trek in 1960 because it's just like people throwing themselves around. So I'm just like kind of chuckling at the hilarity of it all. And I'm trying to get this very real moment for him. The cinematographer wasn't feeling well that day. And I'm trying to get this shot. This is like 3/4 of the way through the shoot. We're all completely exhausted. And I'm giggling at the monitor. Well, here's the actor. All he knows is that people are looking at him on screen and laughing, right? So understandably so. He was feeling extremely insecure and got mad at me. He said, dude, I feel like my ass is hanging in the wind out here, And he goes, I think you're laughing at me. I'm like, oh no. And I realized in that moment that of course he would feel that way. Of course he would think that. He has no idea the context of where I'm coming from, but the poor guy, is understandably frustrated with me. So the point I'm trying to make is these things are going to happen. Miscommunications happen. You're going to snap sometimes. You're going to say something that you didn't mean that's going to hurt somebody's feelings. And it's so important to own up to it. After that day, I actually had to, he and I had a long, long talk about like, hey man, I never meant to humiliate you. That was never my intent. And I did not mean for it to come out. I was laughing at something totally different. Just the comical nature of what we do for a living was really more of what I thought was so funny at the time. It was nothing to do with how stupid you looked. No, I would never laugh at something like that. Like, I'm here to protect you. But I had to come forward. It was very difficult, I had to tell him and be very honest and really protect him in that moment. This happens a lot. If you find that you snapped at your actor some way because they irritated you and you did it in front of everybody, it's a good idea to pull them aside after that or the next day or whatever and say, hey, I was out of line. What that's going to do is, that's going to do this. You're going to be as vulnerable as we're asking them to be, and it's going to put you on this even level with them where you're both, hey, we're human, we're trying to do this thing, there's a lot of pressure, the sun is going down, we're running out of time. I snapped. I'm sorry. Can we get past this and I'll try to do better next time? That's such a big, really, I think, important move to do, to be willing to do that. That'll help you with actors quite a bit. Usually if you are that vulnerable with them, their performance will go up because they know that it's safe. They know that you're all working together trying to do the same kind of thing. And once they are vulnerable, vulnerability with an actor is the secret sauce to good performance. Because this is what makes them different. This is what, when you see Denzel Washington performing, what you're seeing that's so incredible is he's so open. You are seeing the inner workings, the inner terror, the little soul in there. That's what's so interesting. That's what makes us all lean into the screen. That's what draws us in. It's these Well, people who behave like that generally become actors who are used to exposing themselves like that. That's not normal. That's not what normal humans do. That's what makes them so interesting to watch. That's what we need. But in order to see that, you have to make them feel safe, feel comfortable. They want to see vulnerability in you. It's a relationship.